Imagine walking into a toy store that's been part of your childhood and realizing it's gone forever. That was the fate of Toys R Us, once the king of toys in America. But what really killed this giant wasn't Amazon or even changing tastes. It was billions in debt and the people who made the decisions behind closed doors. Today, we're diving into the dark story behind one of the biggest retail collapses in history. Toys R Us was founded in 1948 by Charles Lazarus, starting as a baby furniture store. By the 1980s and 90s, the company was a household name. Millions of families flocked to its stores, with the giant giraffe mascot Geoffrey guiding the way. At its peak, Toys R Us operated over 800 stores in the US alone, making billions and billions in annual sales. From a child's perspective, it was magical. From a business perspective, it looked unstoppable. But behind the scenes, trouble was quietly brewing. In 2005, Toys R Us became the target of a massive leveraged buyout, purchased by private equity firms Bain Capital, KKR, and Vornado Realty Trust for $6.6 billion. On the surface, it seemed like a success, a beloved brand acquired by wealthy investors. But there was a catch. The company didn't just owe the purchase price. The way the deal was structured, Toys R Us itself had to take on nearly $5 billion in debt to pay its new owners. Think about that for a second. A company making billions a year now had to spend hundreds of millions of dollars every single year just to pay interest, before it could pay employees, upgrade stores, or compete online. Every toy sold, every kid's birthday present contributed first to the lenders, not to growing the business. Executives quickly realized they were trapped. Even when they wanted to invest in new stores or e-commerce, critical in the age of Amazon, there was no money left. The debt acted like chains around the company, slowly squeezing the life out of the once unstoppable retailer. And here's the kicker. The private equity firms collected tens of millions in fees immediately from the deal, regardless of whether Toys R Us succeeded or failed. Essentially, the people who were supposed to make the company thrive made money up front, while Toys R Us sank under the weight of debt it never asked for. Amazon and Walmart were quietly eating into their market share. Parents started ordering toys online, cheaper, faster, and without leaving home. Toys R Us was slow to adapt. Why? Because they were financially shackled by debt, unable to modernize, upgrade stores, or invest in the e-commerce infrastructure. Employees and store managers watched as foot traffic declined, and the once legendary toy aisles became empty and outdated. Suppliers grew frustrated too, some demanding cash up front instead of trusting the struggling retailer. Behind the numbers, there were real people hurt by these decisions. Longtime employees like store manager Susan Thompson remembered it vividly and stated, "We could see it slipping away. Kids weren't excited to come anymore. It broke my heart." Charles Lazarus, the founder, had retired in 1998, but his vision of a magical toy world lived on in stores, only to be slowly dismantled by financial engineering and short-term profits. In September of 2017, Toys R Us filed for Chapter 11 bankruptcy. It was a shock to the public. Parents and children saw stores closing one by one. Eventually, all U.S. stores shuttered in 2018, taking with them thousands of jobs. But the story doesn't end there. Private equity investors walked away with millions, while employees, suppliers, and customers were left holding the bag. Experts call it a classic case of corporate greed and mismanagement, a cautionary tale about debt-fueled acquisitions. Today, Toys R Us is trying to make a comeback with smaller stores and online shopping, but the magic of the original aisles is gone. Its collapse remains a textbook example of how financial engineering can destroy even the most beloved brands. From children's laughter to empty shelves, the story of Toys R Us reminds us that even giants aren't invincible, especially when short-term profits outweigh long-term strategy. So the next time you walk past an empty toy store, remember, it wasn't just Amazon or the internet that killed Toys R Us. It was debt, private equity, and a series of decisions that prioritized money over magic. If you want more dark stories about how big companies rise and fall, hit subscribe, because here at Business Underworld, we reveal the secrets they don't want you to know.